In nutshell, if you were to say AI and infra industry, big impact, major changes, or moderate,
I feel that AI is going to disrupt.
what would be the relevant learning that you always apply from your IM MBA studies
So there are two things which IM teaches you. One is
in such public-private partnership agreements? How easy or difficult it is to negotiate terms with government?
so government generally is take it or leave it.
As we know that you're heading Cube Highways Legal Department as General Counsel and you're also serving as a whole-time director, I would like to know what is Cube Highways into and what is your role and responsibility at this organization?
So Cube Highways, we basically are a private equity platform, and Cube Highways then from Singapore invest into
Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Hingmire. I am the host of the podcast Due Diligence with Rahul. In this podcast, we delve into deals, decode law, and spotlight the legal leaders who are changing the landscape of legal profession as well as corporate world. Our today's guest is Dr. Mukul Shastri. He's someone who has done practice in Jaipur courts for first 4 to 5 years. After that, he's joined RBI Bank, Reserve Bank of India. After taking a sabbatical break and doing IIM-based MBA course, he joined one of the prestigious company called KEC, an RPG group company. Post that, he was part of legal department for Adani Ports as well as Welspun. From winning international arbitrations worth $250 million to structuring India's largest road infrastructure investment trust, listing worth $4 billion, his legal footprint stretches across infrastructure, capital markets, and global compliances. Dr. Shastri is also PhD and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, a qualified company secretary, a certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers, and postgraduate in law. He has taught at NLU Jodhpur and remains a mentor to India's next generation of legal minds. His recognitions span Forbes General Counsel Power List, Legal 500, Law Asia, and many more. Let's get straight to it with none other than Dr. Mukul Shastri. Welcome, Dr. Mukul, to our podcast series. As we know that you're heading Cube Highways Legal Department as General Counsel and you're also serving as a whole-time director, I would like to know what is Cube Highways into and what is your role and responsibility at this organization to begin with?
Thanks Rahul. First of all, thank you so much for having me. So Cube Highways, we basically are a private equity platform. We are a Singapore-based company with various investors who have invested into us, like I Squared Capital, a private equity from US, ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, British Columbia, Mubadala, and likewise. So all these investors, they have invested into Cube Highways. And Cube Highways then from Singapore invest into road and highway sector in India. So we acquire all these toll roads, so either from NHI biddings or through bilateral deals. So our business model is that we invest into all these BOT, TOT projects, HAM projects, and then make our money from toll revenues or from annuity at times.
Is it only roads that you are in or it's beyond roads like bridges, dams, tunnels also?
No, so Cube Highways primarily into road and road highways. So those structures which are part of highways, Cube is into, like those bridges, etc., which are, or those structures which are part of highways that we built or we maintain. But other than that, dams and other things, we are not into that.
You plan to get into that?
Not very recently, means we have still think that a lot of things to go in highway sector. So we are exploring that further. The idea is because whenever we are going for any fund, it has to have its fund requirement and purposes. So we, before arranging for funds, we tell the investors that where are we going to invest this money in. So even at that time, if we think something, we have to tell them. Otherwise, once the funds have been, once the capital call has been made and once the funds have been allocated, it's very difficult after that to change the purpose for where the funds have to be deployed. So that is the reason. Otherwise, right now we feel that India's highway sector is still very bullish. We have an NIP, National Investment Pipeline, whereby the government invested from 2020 to 2025 almost 1.11 lakh crores. So there's a huge amount of investment government has done. Most of the investment has already been done. Some part of it is still remaining, which we hope is going to happen in some time. So 1.1 lakh crore means it is roughly 1 trillion US dollars.
Wow.
Which is roughly 25% of India's GDP, nominal GDP right now. So it's a huge investment which government is planning to invest into road sector. And therefore, we feel that this sector has a lot of bullishness where we have a lot of scope to invest in. So that is one reason why we feel that this sector is to be there. So now, what is my role? I am a general counsel for Cube Highways. When I say general counsel, there are 4 different departments that report into me. One is legal department. Second is compliance department. Third is contracts. And fourth is insurance. So these 4 departments, they report into me. So there are different heads are there. There's a head of legal, head of contract, head of compliance, head of insurance. And then I, as an overall in charge of these departments, generally oversee what they do. So I report to chairman here in Cube Highways, India. And along with that, board also fixes certain functional responsibilities. And therefore, I have to keep on informing them, the investors and the board, regarding whatever these functions are, the critical matters of these 4 functions. So that I have to keep on intimating to the board. This is what.
So very interesting thing that you shared. Cube Highway is operating in India, but it is also collecting the necessary investments from its investors as a fund of funds from Singapore, you said.
So Singapore is our company, but the investors are across. Like Abu Dhabi is in Abu Dhabi, ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. Mubadala is again Middle East. British Columbia is Canada. I Squared Capital is private equity from US. So yeah.
That way, sir, you are not handling 4. You are handling multiple departments beyond 4 because cross-border investments part scenarios are coming in within. Like if Singapore company is attracting investment from all over the world, that means you are looking into multi-jurisdictional part also. Quite interesting scope, sir. How do you manage multi-department rated do's and don'ts, activities, role assignments, ensuring that, they perform in sync to other departments, and you being at the helm of all these 4 departments as general counsel, what kind of leadership scenarios and typical activities that you are supposed to undertake without failing? Because if you miss out on something, it may have a cascading effect on other departments. So what kind of activities you are undertaking?
Thanks. Yeah, they're very true. So this is a complex responsibility. Especially, we have to really ensure that the investors who are different, varied investors, for example, British Columbia may have a different perspective on its investment. Private equity like I Squared Capital have a different perspective on its investment. So different authorities or different investment shareholders, they have different kind of expectation. And then Indian regulatory bodies have a different expectation altogether because we're working in India. And then the team, as you rightly said, this is a cross-border investment. So the teams have their own approach to things. So the main thing here is, and as you said, the leadership, the main role of mine is to balance all of this, to balance investors' expectation, to understand what the authorities in India are doing and what they expect, ensuring that is also balanced, and then to balance all these different stakeholders' expectations. So that is one of the major kind of a role that I have. One more interesting thing is in the leadership. So as I said, there are 4 different heads which are there. They themselves are accomplished players in their own sense. So more or less, my role is even more strategic, and so there are already heads who have certain experiences. So there are like 4 champions already there. My role is just to be the glue who can really ensuring that all these 4, like a thread in a necklace, that all the pearls are at the right place and shining appropriately. So that is what the main role is. I always say my role is generally like the thread in a pearl necklace.
Correct. Delicate one, but very important. Very important. Sir, infrastructure investment trust as a concept is very new to India. I'm sure it's new to some Asia as a continent also. And we take a lot of learnings from Western countries where this investment trusts, real estate trusts have been regular concepts to go about it. What's your take on this and how impactfully India has been adopting these things? Cube Highways constitution is basis of that, right, sir? So what do you think how India is responding to InvITs to go about?
Fantastic. So you are right, actually. So Q initially started with a growth company only with investment and keeping those investment for some time. But then when InvIT came and when we thought to go into InvIT, we incorporated or we listed the InvIT 2 years back in April 2023. But as you rightly said, InvIT is a very new concept in India. 2014, SEBI came with regulation, and till 2017, 2018, it did not pick up as the interest.
years, no traction.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years or even 5 years, there was no traction at all. Idea was because people were very skeptical whether you should go for it, not go for it. Somehow in 2019, 2020, somehow people started building some interest in InvIT, that okay, it is some structure, it will make some sense, business sense for them. And now in last 4-5 years, if I see, InvIT has really gone, means berserk. Now we have almost 25, 26 InvITs.
25?
Yeah, something like that. Almost 8 REIT which are there. 4 are major ones. So we have, so we have some reasonable numbers which have come.
Any approximate figure you can put for these overall rates and their investment size?
I'm not very sure. We have to see the SEBI website, but I guess the total AUM that they manage is around $1 lakh. Means 1 lakh crore rupees is what they manage actually. I have to just cross check the numbers.
About $10 billion.
Around $10 million, yes.
It's a good,
it is a good chunk, yes. So that we have to see how much, but it's a very good traction. I'm not very sure SEBI has on its website these numbers, but you see the size has grown a lot in the last 2-3 years. So where they were 2 years back and where they're today, the numbers have really grown up very, very big.
Any 2-3 reasons you think the growth has been attained like this?
Yes. So there are 2-3 major reasons for why InvIT has really gone up so much. See, in infrastructure in India, what if I just go back, say, 3, 4, 5 decades back, infrastructure, especially road development in India, it was always stated as a sovereign function, that it's a state duty to provide me roads in the country. And that's what they were doing. So
state in the sense Maharashtra
India
has to look
means like India, the country.
It's
government duty to give me roads. And then obviously there are states who can give me state roads. National highways, government of India has to give me. So I always feel because road is something which is like police protection or army. There's something which state has to give me. Because as a citizen, I have to get these things from them. But then slowly what they felt is that whenever the national highways are being constructed or state highways, state roads, PWD was constructing, they always felt that there were a lot of inefficiencies. Ultimately, private players were called for doing the EPC, but then the responsibility is always the government. The government will give them the L&T, then the HCC of the world. They'll construct the road for them, but then they will simply take the money and go away. Yeah. But it is for them now that maintaining that road, they can't get any tolls. So it was a very heavy burden on the exchequer. So somewhere in 2002, 2003, the idea cropped up of this PPP, public-private partnership. Obviously, India also liberalized in 1981, so a lot of Western ideas were coming into India. So they thought that, okay, let's have this public-private partnership. Now in that, they thought that, okay, let us ask the private players to build the road. Let them construct the road. We will not pay them anything. Once they have constructed the road, let them collect this money from the users. Let the users pay through toll and let the private player make money by constructing these highways and collecting toll from users.
So government will give locations to
government will tell you, yes, that I want a road from Delhi to Agra. Okay. I want a road from Pune to Satara. I want this. So they will just plan those things out because government has to plan this. But the planning was government. But then once they plan, they want, yes, from Bombay to Pune, I want a highway. There's a 150 kilometer, 200 kilometer national highway I want. So they'll just come with a bid. Now a private player has to bid for it, construct that highway, and then collect toll from the users who want to ply their vehicles there and make money from that. So
what does government get out of this?
So because it was the government duty to create roads and all that. So it is basically government agenda.
So they make money?
So what happens is, so the idea is ultimately government aim is not to make, it's not a profit motive, it is public interest for government. But in the process, what happens is, now, first of all, government's bandwidth has now relaxed a lot because then they only have to monitor. They don't have to get into the actual construction or anything. And second, because advantage is all these private players, when they bid, they sometimes, now the bid are of two types. One is either they will pay some money to government, that okay, there's the money, I'll pay you for getting this bid, or sometimes it's on VGF. So if they think that this road is, I'm not going to make enough money from this road, so they will say, okay, I'll take some money from government, which is liability gap funding, and government has to pay. So whosoever bid the least, on that basis, the private party is selected. So the idea is either private party pays government or asks least of the money from the government. On that basis, government awards the contract. For government, now that road is constructed, which after 25-30 years of operation, come back to government. So government has basically got an asset ready for them by a private player at private player's risks. So it is what the advantage of government is.
So in such public-private partnership agreements, how easy or difficult it is to negotiate terms with government? Are they like rigid in terms of their terms that they are going to ask bid accordingly? or at times they are also open for understanding what kind of challenges the private player may face, because of which they are open for some relaxation or some modification in the terms.
Fantastic. So government generally is take it or leave it. They don't allow you to negotiate much because government contracts are based on MCAs, Model Concession Agreement. So they will have a very standardized document. The Haldia committee was a committee. On that basis, they have already created this MCA. So they will say that, okay, you have this document, means you have to sign on dotted lines. Very little at times on basis of certain projects, on project specific requirements, we can go and ask certain queries to government. And those queries then government answers in the pre-bid meetings at times.
Okay.
But then there are very few. Most of the terms is generally you have to just sign on the dotted lines. You don't have much of a scope of negotiations with government.
Sir, can you give 2-3 examples of the contracts in which you pay to government and examples of the contract in which governments are paying you? If you can give one of the examples.
So all the TOTs is where we have paid the premium. So like TOT 3 we won, there are 9 assets. So we paid certain premium to
TOT
government.
stands?
TOT is the toll operate transfer. So it is basically we pay premium to government. And then the amount is also in public domain. I don't remember exactly, but 2,500 crores or 2,800 crores is what. So this is a premium that we generally pay. And then after the premium we have paid, then we have the right to collect toll. We have to operate and maintain that road and collect toll from the users. So like this, there are a lot of TOTs whereby we have bid, we have won. Very recently, TOT 11, TOT 14, we have won. All these things are in public domain. I don't remember the exact numbers there, how much we have paid, but they are all like in thousands of crores. You pay the money to government. Otherwise, there are certain VGF also. Like we have a project called NAML. Which is viability gap funding, whereby we get money from government for doing that project. So there are certain projects like that also, where you are to get the VGF from government. So NAML is one project of ours. It's a very complicated name. Nothing or something similar. It's in South India. Andhra Pradesh. Yeah. So it's a very so basically just 3 cities. Okay. So there's NAM Expressway Limited. That's the name of the project. NAMEL.
I thought it was after our PMO or something.
No. There's 3 cities. So most of the road highways are based like Pune, Satara, like it's like Delhi, Agra. It's like they basically are on cities. Delhi, Meerut, Delhi, Hapur, something like that.
Correct.
So so NAML is one project where we get the money from government for doing it. So it's a VGF based project. So there are multiple projects which are VGF based and which are basically whereby we have to pay to government.
Great. Sir, as you've been a teaching faculty member at NLU Jodhpur, as a professor, as a individual who is passing the learnings, not only from the academics but also from the real time experiences that you're getting from your challenges that you encountered before with many of the organizations, how that has helped in dealing with now that you've taught students, at a time you have to deal with regulators. Is it something that is bringing more value to you while you deal with difficult players like regulators at a time?
Very true. So I'll just explain a little bit about my beginning. So I started with a litigating lawyer. So my father was a judge, uncle was a lawyer. So was in the family of lawyers and judges. The whole law was something which was into the family. Did my law and then practiced for 4.5 years before moving to academics. I was really okay in academics, so did my LLM and enrolled in PhD in competition law. And National Law University Jodhpur, way back in 2005, 2006, they came up with a vacancy for assistant professor in competition law and criminal law, and I was practicing criminal law and I was pursuing PhD in competition law. Somehow that is a very right fitment for me.
Competition and criminal law going hand in hand.
It is very rare. Yeah. Sometimes destiny has its own ways of doing things. So I got into that. So got into NLU Jodhpur. And then the 3.5 years post that, I then wrote the RBI examination, 2009 All India RBI examination, topped that examination, and then joined RBI as a regulator. Spent 5 years in RBI, then went on to do my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. It's a 1-year MBA course, PGPX. And after that, I came to corporate sector. Post my IIM Ahmedabad based on the campus placement. So I joined RPG Group, then Adani Group, Wellspun, and now Cube Highways. Now with this journey, so definitely, as you asked, the academic stint was very important, because when you are as an academician in academics in NLU Jodhpur, the quality that you learn is to dive deep. So academicians generally they go deeper in research. It will be theoretical, but it is an exercise whereby you try to understand that why is this rule is there, what was the purpose of this legislation, what was there before that, what was the outcome of this kind of thing on a very theoretical basis. And when you are a regulator, you understand that, okay, so I was an RBI, so I understand, okay, if my actions, how are they going to impact the society as a whole, the country as a whole, or the economy as a whole. So when you have these two perspectives together, it always helps you now to understand what to say to what. Like it's very, very, very similar to what a litigation lawyer skill is. You know that in front of this judge, this kind of argument will work. In front of some other judge, some very different arguments will work. So same matter, same fact, but the approach is very different based on who is your
We have
audience.
to adopt to the situation.
Adopt to the situation.
ultimately. Yes.
So this learning from academics and RBI stint helped me develop that perspective that, okay, how to put across what to whom.
Correct.
When you're talking to a regulator, you at least said, if a tough regulator, what to tell them, where to. So basically, prominence and gravitas, where to be prominent, where to be showing the gravitas, where to reduce our prominence. Something that you have to really play with these kind of traits.
Very important skill, sir.
Very important
to have,
skill, that's true.
because nowadays, not understanding what regulator is demanding can cause huge amount of delay in many of the things, and time is money ultimately. In infra projects,
Yes.
I heard that Mr. Gadkari has announced many times we give rewards if you complete before time, and we deduct and apply penalty if you don't do it. If we don't do it in time. So for you,
Not only that, if you talk to L&Ts and all these big companies, they will tell you one more interesting thing, that nowadays the margins are no more in the normal commercial sense. Margins are only through claims and EOTs. So the contract department and legal department is very crucial for infrastructure players, because you will make your margin, make your money only by putting claims and EOTs. You will find these statements by many people. So therefore, as you rightly said, so it is you have to be very, very clear and robust in your understanding of things.
So fortunately, we got an opportunity to work with some of the big infra companies who have done bridges and Sea-Link of Mumbai, and their consultants also, or those consultants who are into designing the big infra projects, especially bridges and all. And when we look at their contract and their terms and conditions, the amount of time they are spending in doing the time estimation pertaining part, because once they commit to it, there is no escape from that.
True.
And when they fail to deliver on that,
Very true.
then it
Yes.
kills their profit margin, it kills
yes,
their business revenue, and it can at a time bring closure on their business.
Yeah, very true. Because see, generally margins are 8 to 10% only in infrastructure, and your performance LD is 10%. So performance bank guarantee. So the LD will be imposed 10%. So you're gone. Means one time margin is wiped out if you delay, and you delay more than the huge consequences are there.
So from the outside, it looks very glamorous and big itself, but when you
very, very complicated. Yes.
Great, sir. So, Dr. Mukul, your company is acquiring multiple assets. Currently, I believe there are some 28 different assets under management, under development, under collection. Can you share any 2 or 3 assets which have become like a pride for your company to talk about?
Yeah. So there are 34 assets in total.
34.
Yeah. It's okay. So there are many, but so just to give 1 or 2 examples, maybe from national perspective. One is in Jammu Kashmir, we just acquired from Athang, which is in news. Because Jammu Udhampur is one road which is very important from strategic purposes. So sometimes we don't just do things purely for commercial things, but it is sometimes we have to do things for the country as a whole also. So, and then we have one very complex tunnel there, which is CNTL, which is right now going into an IBC now. We will acquire that. So CNTL is again a tunnel which connects a very crucial area in Jammu Kashmir. So there are certain projects, and in news also, you can simply Google and you'll find out those things. So those
very interesting locations.
Yeah.
These locations are also kind of a risky location at times to go with, and to get labor force, to get contractors, to get the work done itself could be a twice amount of challenge compared to other locations.
So we have two types of projects. One is obviously these risky area, like we have something in Bengal also. Something they are more strategic in nature, and then we have some commercial projects like Delhi Mumbai Expressway, certain portion of that, like many others, Delhi Hapur. Most of the roads which connect to Delhi are our roads. Madurai, Kanyakumari. So those roads are there. In Bombay also we have lot. So those roads are there for strategic purposes. Also invest, and we also invest from commercial purposes.
Right. So we have seen that during your different stints in 2 or 3 other organizations, as well as including the current one, you've been very actively pursuing some of the IBC proceedings linked acquisitions. So you are in a way playing a role of a resolution applicant who is trying to bail out the company from a problematic scenario. Can you share some of the instances in which you've gone into it and you kind of got a very value proposition for your companies?
Sure. So I'll give one or two examples there. Yes, there are many IBC acquisitions. But one or two very tricky and interesting arbitrations. So one is Dighi Port acquisition. When I was in Adani, again, it's in public domain. It's a very complex kind of a deal. Why? Because the promoter, so Dighi Port is a port in Bombay only, which is very near to JNPT port. It makes a lot of sense for us, Adani, because sort of cargo. Adani used to handle a lot of cargoes in Gujarat because we have Mundra port and stuff. But and then we have the ports in South India, Vizhinjam. Nothing was in between. Sometimes you need some strategic port in between in that coastline, which is the western coastline of India. So Dighi Port was a very strategic kind of a port for us. Now the problem was the promoter himself was not very willing to give away this port, though there were a lot of IBC issues. It was an IBC and it was early days for IBC itself in 2017, 2018, 2019. So he was trying to get this project from, so all these 29A things which have later,
related parties.
Yeah, related party transactions which have been introduced slightly later. What he was trying to do is he was trying to get the same port which he has himself because of his misdeeds or whatever poor handling. Since the port has gone down, the valuation has gone down, it is in IBC. This was trying to get it from IBC through different funds. So what we did is, first of all, we have to fight it out. Not only we have to give a very competitive bid as a resolution applicant. Second is we have to then also clear out things that these people who are other applicants, our competitors, they are just the front of this promoter only. So then also we have to do a lot of diligence and bring it out very clearly. And then tell the COC that please don't award, you cannot award to them because legally it is not permissible, because then it's a violation of 29A per se. Correct. And it's a very complex fight. Absolutely. And ultimately went to Supreme Court also, that what are the powers of COC to decide on these things, or whether they can rely on a DD report of a resolution applicant, because obviously they will try to give something negative about the other party, whether they should do an independent evaluation of these things. So it's a very complex matter.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting legally.
Going with the resolution applicant is one aspect.
Yeah.
But showing how other resolution applicants are not qualifying for it.
Correct.
And
it's more complicated.
It's a additional task, responsibility go about. And we have all heard, sir, this was a hard-fought litigation, and rightly so by Adani Group, because they stood for what the law says.
Correct.
And that's how they ultimately got the job. You got the job.
So I was the head of legal at the time of handling the legal matter for this. I was a GM legal rather.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
congratulations.
Thanks.
It has been a great learning, I'm sure.
Absolutely great learning. Absolutely great learning.
For us also, when we are looking at that as a judicial precedent, it serves a very good piece of, legal source when we have to communicate and explain the necessity of how to protect resolution applicants' rights. Very true. Sir, according to you, IBC, Insolvency Bankruptcy Court, when it was brought in 2017 with the objective, are Indian companies, Indian jurists, we as lawyers or companies, are we actually achieving the objective for which IBC was brought in, which is more like a bailout package, or it is being misused at times? As you were saying, Dighi Port's erstwhile manager was trying to get a backdoor things. What's your take on this?
So I don't know. Two things. No, IBC is good legislation. It's doing really, really good.
Obviously, with good objectives.
Yeah, with good objectives. But I somehow feel it has been now being used as by official creditors as a tool just to get and extract money. Recovery tool. It's a recovery tool kind of. It's like a surfacey in a different avatar. So it has become a recovery tool in the hand of official creditor. And now they have increased the limit to 1 crore. So, but 1 crore is also very less kind of a threshold. Absolutely. So if I have paid money to you and you have not paying me back. Like I remember one very interesting case of this Mr. Shailesh Lodha. He played this role of Tarak Mehta in this serial Tarak Mehta Ulta Chashma, and his dues were there. So whatever the dispute was between him and the producer did not pay him for more than whatever his dues were. And it was around 1.2 crore, 1.5 crore. He filed an IBC suit against the producer. I don't know what happened ultimately. He might have got his money. If it is due to him, he should have got it also. But the problem is now IBC has been used like this a lot. So this is just an example which is in public domain, but otherwise people are using IBC just to extract money. Otherwise I'll go take you to NCLT, I'll take you into IBC. Though optional creditor will not get anything, but because once the matter is in IBC, as an optional creditor, your priority is the least. Because the creditors will get first, and others will get first, and the government will get the dues first, the employees will get their salaries first, and you are the last person who will ever get anything.
Never will get everything.
Never will get everything, that's right, yes. So in that case,
unfortunate, but yes.
Yeah, unfortunate, but yes. So in that case, still people are preferring to go for IBC and try to extract money. So that is one thing which I don't know, but whether we can change it or not, but this is what people are using. But having said that, IBC has set good things. It has been in last, as you said, it's a very new legislation, and we are still finding out what the right things are. But they are doing things reasonably on time. Obviously, there are some delays, but overall, if I see, it is a step in the right direction. At least now we are going to the right steps. One thing which again haunts IBC is because our NCLTs are not manned regularly. There's lack of manpower. I don't know why the government do not just take help of all these lawyers like you or other lawyers who are good time practitioners. Why don't they fill the vacancies part time with these lawyers? Say 3 years, 10 for 2 years, 10 for them. I don't understand why they are so fixated on only having judges, retired judges and stuff.
Or bureaucrats.
Or bureaucrats actually. I don't understand why they are so fixated. Have a lawyer who has practiced for 5-7 years in this field. These lawyers has 2 years experience. It's a win-win. Because see, the lawyer then will have a different perspective. He will also get so many cases to handle of IBC. His knowledge will go up. Obviously, money will be far lesser. I understand the lawyer will make far more money, and as an IBC judge or NCLT tribunal member, he will not earn. But it's not more than earning. He will have that cases. So he will deal with hundreds of cases, which otherwise as a practicing lawyer, he may not deal.
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win for both. So after 2-3 years, then let them go back to practice. Let a new lawyer come in. So your vacancies will also get filled up, and it is good kind of a knowledge transfer also of people. But I don't know, government, and that is why the IBC failed. Because for us, sometime getting NCLT dates, like in one of my matter, I'll not name in which NCLT it was. First date I got was from August of year. Next date was of May of next year. Now I have to wait just for one single date for 9-10 months. That is a horrible situation.
Wow.
So
initially, IBC code mandated within 14 days the decision has to come, whether it has to be admitted or not. And now we are talking about 14 months gap.
Yes, 14 months gap, that's true. Just for the hearing actually, just to hear me out. Because last time they could not hear me because of whatever pendency they had. So just for hearing me out, they have taken so much of time.
So one interesting thing I recently learned about UK courts. UK judges, especially of high courts, they invite the King's Counsel, or earlier when Queen was Queen's Counsel, on an interim basis to serve as a high court judges for 3 months, 6 months, and then they will go back again. While they are acting as a temporary judges, they will not take up the practice. They will not continue the private advisory. However, they can pause that practice and again resume it. I think NCLT can definitely take benefit.
Other tribunals also, even High Court judges vacancies are there. But filling with all the senior advocates for temporary being. It is good for lawyers also. I understand. Well, one thing is that they don't pay that much because the pay scales of tribunal members is very, compared to a lawyer is just nothing.
But the 6th pay, 7th pay commissions are ever improving. So I
that's okay. But more than that, more than money, see, lawyer also will learn from that. Because see, ultimately as a practitioner, the more cases that you participate in, you become more, you become expert. Because practice makes a man perfect. You get over.
There is a pre-qualification criteria already for IRPs. They are getting verified, certified.
Correct.
And if you have, if not lawyers, at least there is one professional who has already taken efforts to come closer to the legislation by satisfying the criteria as an interim or insolvency resolution professional. If they have completed 5 years and they have completed X number of resolution processes, corporate resolution processes, and if their track record is decent, I think they should be at least given an opportunity to come on the adjudication side to go about.
I totally agree. Totally.
We should do something on this. So we should send recommendations so IBB would go about it. So Dr. Mukul, many lawyers focus on legal outcomes. Like we got matter or transaction, we want to just get done with the orders or conclusion. But as a general counsel, I'm sure your role demands much more than that. What are the things that you generally aim to achieve when any task or any assignment or any strategy that you have been asked to deploy?
Very right question, Rahul. As an in-house, the role is very different from what the role is as a lawyer or an external lawyer. See, external lawyer is known, so there are two things. One is lawyer can say and highlight the legal risks which are there in the transaction. And second, we expect them to be, in their knowledge, to be vertical knowledge. It means they should be really deep in the understanding of a limited subject, but deep understanding. Like a dispute lawyer should know disputes very well. A competition lawyer should know competition very well. So that depth of knowledge is more important rather than the horizontal knowledge of things. In-house, both the things are just converse. One is, what they expect is they should know every single thing in bits and pieces. Because for depth, we have to go and take the help of external lawyers. But we should know every single thing, whether it's competition or labor or tax or criminal law, civil law, CPC, constitution, evidence, or IT. So we have to know all these things in a reasonable kind of we have to have it like a general physician. Like we have to have a reasonable understanding of these things.
Right.
But second and more importantly is that as an in-house counsel, even if the lawyer has said no, this transaction cannot be done or there's risk in this transaction, we have to find out what can be the risk mitigators and how to ensure that this transaction still materializes within the four corners of regulation and law. Because ultimately the engine is business. If the business is not happening, we as a support function is not going to make money. Or is a business who has, we have to really run the business. So what a lawyer can say no, we have to still go and work on it. And I give a very interesting example for this, very recent example. Now there was this acquisition we were doing. We have one matter whereby the question was, now this, the other party was not giving us indemnity beyond 3 years. Indemnity was only for a very limited period. But the liability of this matter may come after, say, 5 years, 6 years, because matter was such was in court. So the possibility of this matter fructifying was after 4-5 years. Now the question was, the lawyer said, no, if the person is not giving you indemnity beyond 3 years, let's just not agree to it. Let's just stick to it. So then we have to, so now the question was, lawyer has a very strong opinion that no, this is a very important matter, and if they are not getting indemnity, then you're not covered for that risk, and you are, so it's a risk which you are taking. Now, what to do in such cases? So ultimately, this discussion with the business side, obviously, it is their call. One is we took some insurance to cover us, but more importantly, we analyzed that, okay, let's understand what is the probability of this thing happening vis-a-vis the risk. The risk was huge, but the probability of this happening, because our concession for that thing was fairly small, 10 years only. So we said that what is the probability of this thing coming within 10 years? And second is, if something comes, what is my chances of going to court and get a stay and delay it for certain times? If I can really delay those things, and I can really, so 3 years I have indemnity, the matter comes after 4-5 years, I can still go to court, go to appellate court, Supreme Court, and delay that matter further. So the chances is that I can really push it. So first of all, the possibility of that happening is remote. And if it happens also, I can really have some probability of pushing. So there's a business risk which I've taken. Yes. And by some insurance that we have taken. Insurance you don't get full, you get some only part insurance. So on that basis, we took that call. So as a legal person, sometimes you have to see all the other scenarios and then take those calls, which a lawyer will not advise you to take. Because if something goes wrong, the lawyer will say, I've already told you that this is what is expectable, this is what is expected. And you have then taken a call.
You want to have that solution-oriented approach.
So therefore, the role of in-house, role of GC is always to have that solution in mind and to take that risk. Because then it is a risk of, because then you are also party to that risk.
Absolutely.
So that is where the role differs.
I think what would be the relevant learning that you always apply from your IIM MBA studies in these sort of situation?
Yeah, so it helps a lot. So once you have done MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, because of the case study, so there are two things which IIM teaches you. One is a study in group. So like I was, so we have we call them Cindy. Cindy is basically a syndicate whereby 4-5 students will together, and a case study will come to them, and they will work on that case study together.
As a project.
It's as a project. So every single thing is a project. Every single lecture was a project only. Oh. So they'll give you a case study. So it's a case study based method teaching in Harvard. So a case will come. You have to go prepare a case study, prepare an answer to that case study, and then go to the lecture next day. And then you have to give your answers that okay, in this is what our answer is as a syndicate. So here now in that syndicate there are 4-5 different members are there who have a very different perspective. Now when they have different perspective, first of all you would like to understand and appreciate a different perspective on the same problem. So that is one thing that is already ingrained in you. So in that lectures almost 640 hours, 640 times you are doing it. So it gets ingrained in you to understand and appreciate other perspective. That is one thing which really helps in corporate world. So in corporate world also there's a CTO, there's a CMO, there's an operation guy, there's a finance guy, and everybody has a different perspective on the same problem. They'll come with and they will GC. Everyone has a different perspective. So you at least understand and appreciate that perspective. That is one thing. Second thing is MBA teaches you how to learn the nuances of finances and businesses in a different manner. So the problem is no more just an accounting thing. You don't like in other MBAs you'll just only understand the accounting and stuff. What IIM Ahmedabad teaches in that sense is it is not only accounting, it is the impact of that accounting that you have to think, the strategy of that okay, how is it going to impact me, my financials, how this is going to impact my other things. So no more theoretical accounting or finance or things, but how is that going to impact you? And that helps in my current rules, because then I understand okay, now my auditor is going to ask these questions. So I think from that perspective now. For every single thing when I do, my auditor may ask these questions. Auditor otherwise will put something in the audit report.
You will only have to step into multiple roles pertaining, departments to see that same problem and solution also at this.
True. So that is what IIM Ahmedabad prepares you for.
Wow. Yeah. Sir, you mentioned 640 hours. Are they 640 hours, like 640 projects?
640 lectures, yeah. So Ahmedabad lecture is like, what you do is you go join them. So they'll give you a case study, means they will give you a real life problem. So somebody say marketing class is there. So marketing problem is there, real life marketing problem. So you have to come with a solution and then you have to go to the classroom next day. So the marketing teacher will come and the teacher will ask all the different things. Okay, tell me what is your solution to this problem. So there are some 8-10 syndicates because all these five students.
Each syndicate will consist of
5 or 6 members.
5 of the.
So a class of 50-60 will be some 8 syndicates. So 8. So there are like 8 companies in a sense. So he'll ask for all the 8 companies their solutions.
And for all 640 lectures, you always are part of one syndicate?
Yes. Throughout one syndicate only.
Only one.
Yes.
Your syndicate doesn't change?
No, syndicate doesn't change. Wow. So that is from first. So at the end, you become very used to that. First there are some frictions, but then slowly we'll get used to. It's like a corporate only.
Yes.
So once you join a corporate, there are different people. But once you are in that corporate, you understand each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Interesting.
So the idea is so that you learn in a very different manner. Wow. Not only you're learning what the teacher is telling you, but you're learning from what your colleagues or your cohort is telling you. So.
And after completion, of course, how's your relation with those syndicate people?
We still have in touch. So Ahmedabad, not only them, but others also. We're very strong alumni network. So we're still in touch.
Yes.
December, I'm going to
the strongest alumni network.
Yes, strongest in the world.
Can have.
Yeah. So that is very, very good. So December, we have a reunion. So I'll go there in December.
Nice. So we'll move to arbitrations and public policy aspect to go about. Your tenure at Reserve Bank of India, sir. Can you share some of the insights on how it was for you that you saw government's one of the topmost and most important function that is being performed by RBI and how that is pursued by the private sectors to go about it, because then you moved out and then you can differentiate between, how others are looking at RBI's policies and when you are making or contributing in making RBI's policies. I think FEMA policy pertaining part, you have greatly contributed to that. Can you share some aspects on that, please?
So I joined RBI in 2009 and I was there till 2015. So initially I joined RBI in the foreign exchange department, as you said, FEMA. So my role, so in 2009, India came with an FDI policy. And my role was to convert that FDI policy into FEMA regulations or circulars or the master directions or master circulars at the time. And then to put it for the consumption of the top management, because then ultimately they have to take their decisions and calls. So on the basis of whatever guidance we have to vet those circulars and to prepare those things, then I was in Department of Banking Supervision, where I used to do all these bank audits, banking regulations. ICICI merger of Bank of Rajasthan happened when I was in RBI, so I was part of the team. So Bank of Rajasthan was merged into ICICI.
Okay.
So RBI mandated Bank of Rajasthan to merge into ICICI because Bank of Rajasthan was not doing well. So there were a lot of issues with the bank. So all those things, I was in RBI at the time, handling those stuff. So one thing that RBI instinctively helped me to develop the perspective that how a regulator approaches things. Sometimes in a private sector, we think, okay, this regulation is there, and this is what, this is how we should abide by the regulation. But sometimes we miss at how a regulator may perceive your actions. Sometimes your actions are very bona fide, but unless if it has not been documented well or not been articulated well, RBI or the regulator may think that this is something you are not following the spirit of law. So therefore, you have to be very clear that, okay, this is where I have to really put across. So even your applications to regulators, whether it's RBI or SEBI, when you're writing for any permission, etc., you know that, okay, this is what, if I write this thing very clearly, maybe this will help regulator to understand my perspective better and I can get the approvals faster. So my RBI student helped me in those things. And therefore, that skill set is even helping me today. Because now when we're writing something to regulator, we are asking some approvals from them or going and talking to them at times for certain things. We know that, okay, if we put across it in this manner, it will really help me. And as I said, again, the same analogy that you know the judge now. So RBI is a different judge, maybe some other person is a different judge. So now you know how this judge, what appeals to this judge more. Okay. So that then you can accordingly put those things first to this judge. Sometimes you have to play. And very similar, like maybe Amitabh Bachchan's style of acting is very different from Shah Rukh Khan's style of acting. So when you understand, okay, this person's style of acting is this, and then accordingly you put the script or narrate the script in that fashion. Very similar. Once you have the regulatory experience, then you know how to put across those things and put
nice. Very interesting. Very interesting. So Mukul, you've dealt with multiple domestic as well as international arbitration, specifically in terms of Canada-based corporations as well as before Singapore International Arbitration Center. and you've come out quite successfully in many of them. So what is your success playbook that you always use when you are dealing with such arbitrations?
Fantastic. So, in arbitrations and litigation, I always feel two things work. One is the overall strategy, and second, and more important, is the details. So, if you have really an eye for detail, you will definitely see that, okay, if I put across things which are making sense, it'll always you can always make your case before an arbitrator or before a judge. Like for example, the Canadian arbitration, like matter was very simple. Matter was that KEC has given certain material to the Canadian party. And when they installed that material, so we were basically, they are towers. So when they installed those towers and those power lines,
Right.
because the wind was, and the temperature was -40, wind was very heavy, so they popped off, the bolt popped off, there were cracks in the tower. And they said, okay, your material was substandard and therefore will not pay you and will impose some penalty on you. Now, our stand was that you have given us certain specifications, and on that basis, I have given you the material. So my duty is discharged the moment I have given you the material as per specification.
Right.
Now, as long as I can showcase that basis the documentation, relevant documentation of relevant time, by those emails, by those kind of correspondences, if I can showcase this rightly, that yes, you have the specifications what you have given me, I have given it back to you, you have said okay to those specifications. If I can showcase that very clearly, and I can bring a case like that, I can win it. So my overall strategy was to showcase, to understand this legal point, that okay, as long as I'm discharging my duty, as long as I'm giving material to specifications. And second is to build out that paper to showcase or to prove that yes, I have done that. So that is where the basic playbook is. Understand what the larger picture is, what is the real key point that is there, and then to build the documentation basis on that key point. So that is the basic strategy for litigation and arbitration.
In a way, you are suggesting when you enter into transaction, one eye always should be on potential litigation that
Yes, you
disputes
should.
to go.
You should. And that is why, if you see, in my current role also, and as well as my role in Wellspun, etc., always it will be legal, compliance, contract. So they all go hand in hand,
Correct.
especially legal and contract. Let's just leave aside compliance for a second. Why? Because what correspondence you develop before dispute has more evidentiary value than post dispute. So therefore, you have to be very clear when you're writing it that yes, this is what is the matter is. So therefore, the contract department is reporting to a GC so that GC can tell them that yeah, this is how we have to approach the correspondences.
Absolutely. Dr. Mukul, we think roads are government's property and we are paying taxes, so we have entitled for certain benefits and relaxation.
Correct.
We always hear some of the tolls are getting relaxed for cars, sometimes only at night, only at daytime. Some of the times we see litigation getting filed. Do you encounter such public interest litigation or writ petitions or any kind of, faction of public challenging some of the newly installed or some old tolls which are there on bridges and all? And if it is coming towards your way, because we think government is answerable and responsible, but if it is adding burden to you or it is dragging you in litigation, how do you deal with this? And have you encountered any of such PIL scenarios?
Yes, we have. PIL is a reality in today's time, irrespective wherever you are. I remember one AAP minister was there in Parliament. He said, in Parliament or in Delhi Assembly, I don't remember exactly. He said this, that see, we are already paying so much of taxation,
Correct.
and we are paying GST, and then we're also paying toll tax.
Correct.
So that is too much of a burden on common man, which in a sense is right also, because right now India is, we're under a huge tax kind of burden. But for toll, and you're right that yes, roads is a state responsibility. When I say state, means it's a government, it's a sovereign function. It's a government's responsibility. Whatever list it is. Sometimes national highways is in list 1, so central government responsibility. State road is in list 2 of Constitution 7th schedule. So it is the responsibility of the state government. So ultimately, it's the responsibility of the government or the state to provide. Very similar to police or to army and similar things. It's a state responsibility to give me protection. But what happened is, as I said, around 2 decades back, the government thought that this is a very inefficient way of handling the infrastructure or road infrastructure, which is a very crucial infrastructure. But if India has to become a developed economy by 2047 or in some time, we have to have very strong infrastructure, whether it's roads, whether ports, whether data infrastructure, IT infrastructure. We have to have very strong infrastructure because then only economic activities will go up.
Absolutely.
If say from Delhi to Bombay, if you can commute time becomes only a few hours, say 2-3 hours, you see how the economic activity will go many-fold up. So that's why all this bullet train, this train, that train, become a lot of sense from economic perspective, because then the journey, the economic churning happens faster.
Absolutely.
So that's why road is very important. Government thought that, okay, let's just privatize it. And that's why they invited private players that, okay, now you construct the road. Now, if a private player is constructing the road, either they can collect money from the government, which again, taxpayers' money. Because if I have to construct the road and I have to construct and take the money, I'll take it from the government only. So government says it's the taxpayers' money the government is paying. So government says instead of we paying you the taxpayers' money ultimately and imposing more tax of collecting that money again to pay you, it is better that you get it directly from the users. So the principle behind this is this, that if the government, it's the government's duty obviously to make those roads, but then the government, for maintaining that high quality roads, if the cost is heavy, ultimately the burden will come to the taxpayer. Ultimately, the government pays or we pay directly. So they said, let me make it user, because everybody is, because the government collects tolls, the taxes, it is taxes from everyone. So like GST, the problem is for a person who's for a Mr. Ambani also, there is 18% GST on toothpaste, and for a poor person also, it's on 18% GST on toothpaste. So it will not make any sense, because he can afford on that 10 rupees, he can afford 1.8 rupees.
Whether you're consuming it or not.
But a very poor person cannot afford that GST. Absolutely. So that's what government thought, that instead of we collecting money and then paying it to the private player, let private player collect toll from the users who are using those highways. So that's why they come with this. And we have a lot of PILs which are filed under this misconceived notion that now why should I pay when I'm paying already income tax, why should I pay this tax? So that's why we try to convince the courts that this is what the basic rationale behind not collecting money by the government from the taxpayers, but to have this so that the users who are using more should pay more, and those who are using less or not using it, they should not pay. So it is basically let the user pay the toll road, and that is what the logic was. But we find a lot of PILs are there, and then we have to keep on fighting with and bringing this logic and rationale to the court.
I like the rationale behind putting directly at the toll collection, because not every person is going to use that same size of car or vehicle to equally contribute directly to government, rather than it being collected from the actual user of that facility or that infrastructure piece. Very thoughtfully designed.
So that is what we tell the courts and PIL, and this kind of a logic works at times.
Yes. Since arbitration, PIL part we covered, that means quite active relationships you must be having as in-house counsels with external legal professionals like senior counsels or law firms like us. So what's your strategies to select the relevant counsels or law firms? How do you go about doing that? Something that I'll get to learn, and then I will start using that to get a sense.
So there are 2-3 things. One is, for any general counsel, irrespective wherever this person is, there are 80-90% matters which are routine matters, which are like run-of-the-mill matters, which are generally there. And some 10-15-20% matters are very crucial matters. And we also have budgets. So like I have a legal department's budget, which I have to operate within that budget.
Okay.
So for these 80-90% matters, where run-of-the-mill matters which are routine, for me, rule is very simple. As long as this person is giving me basic services, reasonable services, I don't want some Taj Mahal to be created. I want a reasonable basic service from that lawyer. As long as that is being done, I'll see what is the most cost-optimum solution for these bulk of the matters. For others, those 15-20% crucial matters, because there either it is business threatening or the reputation is there, or at times when I was in promoter-driven company, it is against the promoter, the criminal case against the promoter. So there you have to really defend it, and there money becomes a very secondary criteria. It is just the quality and how much that lawyer can bring on the table, what the value. Yeah, it's a result. It's a result oriented. So there we simply go for the best of the persons who are expert in that particular area. So this is how you pick and choose the lawyers and law firms.
In a given time, how many external counsels or law firms you are generally dealing with now in your current position?
So I'll continue to live current also and investment running also. So right now, if I was to say for M&A, we have 3-4 big law firms which we work with. For dispute, again, we have 2-3. And for transaction work, again, we have some 3-4. So around 7 to 10 law firms we are working with, which have decent name. And in addition to that, we have independent lawyers also on our retainers. So we have almost some 8-10 lawyers on our retainer across India, because we have a lot of smaller ticket disputes so like our toll routes are say Madhur to Kanyakumari. Now there, so it is 1,000 kilometer stretch, passing by some, I don't know, some 8-10 districts,
Right.
and different cities and different rural areas, villages. So if something happens, some toll road, some accident happens, or some toll road agitation happens, or something happens somewhere, local, and because it's a local FIR which is filed, or local cases are filed, so we need some local lawyer on our rules to help. So 7 to 8 law firms, big law firms, and then 10, 12 retainers in Cube. Likewise in Welspun, it was the number was slightly higher because Cube in general is not a very litigious company. We generally don't litigate much. So our approach is different here. In Welspun, it was slightly more. Number of law firms were almost, I guess, 10, 12. And in Adani, it was even much higher. But because the scale was absolutely big.
Nice. Great to know this. Moving to technology, sir. We've been told that you've helped or you've contributed greatly in creating a compliance tool, which is AI-linked, tool that is helping your organization to, fast track and automate certain things. Can you share some more on this?
Definitely. So we have a tool called CCMS, Cube Compliance Management System. So because once we have this INVIT, it is required under law that every quarter we get a compliance certificate issued. So the PM, project manager, has to issue to the investment manager and to the trust. So compliance certificate is that yes, we have complied with all the laws and regulations and all the concession agreement requirements. Now, you see, there are many laws where right now, I don't know, our checklist is going hundreds plus actually, I don't know, huge number of laws and regulations, from labor law to environmental law to IT laws to concession agreement requirements. There's so many. Many of the laws I've even heard of for the first time, means in my life when I was seeing that certificate. So there are different complicated things, and there are state-specific regulations. There are some forest-specific regulations because whenever highway is passing nearby a forest, a very specific regulation is there. So what this tool does is, it does two things. One is, we have various users. So we just tell them that, okay, this is a checklist. So it is an automated checklist where they have to just go and fill in that, yes, these are the 20 items. Have you done that? So they just do it and they put the relevant document or relevant snap on the tool. So the tool tells me, the bigger advantage of this tool is, one is it tells me where the compliance is not done. Second, it can generate a heat map. I can know, okay, this is the area where I'm finding the compliance is not happening much, or these are areas of law where the compliance is not happening. So then I can do the audit. I can just find out the root causes as to why the compliance is, what is the problem. Like for example, there is an issue of BOCW. Now we feel that BOCW is not applicable on us because it is not a building construction. So BOCW is building and other construction or workers regulation. Because what we are doing is, we are not constructing any building, we are constructing roads. So now whether construction of road is a construction of building, whether we need registration or not, it's a grey area. So at times we thought it was not there, but now we are taking a conservative position that it is applicable. So we go ahead with that. But now this CCMS helps me telling that, okay, BOCW is an issue because everywhere this is where the compliance is a flag. So we can go and address the symptom now. That, okay, let's understand whether what is the BOCW. So we can then dive deep into that particular compliance and then solve the problem. So this is what this AI helps us.
Was this something that you demanded that it should be placed, or was it like some other stakeholder suggested and then you had to work on it?
No. So what happened during my Adani days and Welspun days, we were working on these things only to have all these things automated. Because compliance is one area, because both Adani, Welspun were listed entities. So compliance was one area where we wanted some solutions. Because manual compliance is chances of persons going amiss.
Missing out.
And there are so many different compliances. Adani has even huge number of compliances given that their scale operations and a lot of international compliances. So therefore, it is always better that we have some tool which can guide you, help you, an AI-based tool. So the idea was there, but ultimately I could materialize that idea when I was in Cube. And then we asked, so Legasis is one of the partners.
Yes.
Mr. Tuljapurkar, sir. So Suhas Tuljapurkar.
Yes.
So we took his help and then his team came. And then we asked them that this is what we want. So we curate for ourselves only. We did not take their, so they had their own software also, but we said we don't want your software because our requirement is very different. So we want this very clearly. And ultimately, after years of effort, we made our own software.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think this will fast track a lot of compliance as well as reduce the errors and which are unintentional many times, right? All stakeholders want to remain compliant as much as possible. I remember recently we were advising one of the co-working spaces.
Okay.
They asked, can you give us a checklist for all around India for all state-rated activities where one checklist to follow so that we are compliant for every step. And we said, why not? We'll start with Maharashtra. And that went on for 9 pages
Easily.
of only acts and activities that there is a couple, 271 items to look up.
Oh my God.
And I felt if this is what they need to cover, they'll have to have a software only to go up doing it. And you already created one.
Yes.
Great to see.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest this to them
Yes.
to go about. Moving on, sir. As general counsel, since this is one of the innovation you helped coming into reality, what is your suggestion? Do general counsels always actively participate in suggesting such innovations to be brought in an organization, or you should just wait for a situation to arise and then respond to go up?
No, proactive is far better, especially now in a world where AI, legal tech, all these things are there. So more proactive you are there, more ahead the curve you are there, it is far better. Because problem is once the thing hit you, it is very difficult then to catch up. Because the cost is also heavy. It's more difficult from all perspective. So it is better to be proactive, understand. Like we are doing a lot of things on AI also, that if we can do maybe after, our aim is that in 6 to 8 months or 1 year time, to do all our mundane things like drafting, researching, formatting, if that can be done through machines, and my human lawyers, they can really work on the quality aspects of it. So we are just working on those tools also. If we can develop them in-house, take help of some chat GPT.
Just don't include litigation in that. कुछ तो छोड़ना हमारे लिए. But I agree.
Litigation can't also, because कोर्ट में आप तो कोर्ट क्राफ्ट ही है, वो आप पे आती है.
Yes, but it's for all of us.
Yes.
But yes, this is a big topic, big discussion. Be it on the company corporate side, from in-house counsels or GCs, or even from law firm point of view. We've also adopted some AI tools, sir. We are also trying to fast track the routine work, which is very much, understood by the team members. Doesn't require great level of, due diligence or deep dive, which are like straightforward things. We are trying to automate that. If we don't do it, sir, we'll keep doing the same thing with much slower pace and process, which will not be helpful for clients ultimately, because turnaround time expectations have changed drastically.
Yes.
What we used to
Yesterday basis. Now you want everything.
as a day.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this part to my team member for sure to go about it.
No, we have one more issue there. Probably we have a lot of interns. When in Adani, but or maybe young, we recruit from law schools. Now, see, problem is somebody has to do that mundane work. Somebody has to do the formatting. Somebody has to do that basic kind of things, which nobody likes to do. But somebody has to do it actually. Some advocate bills processing. Somebody has to do that. Now, when we used to give all these to all these national law school graduates who will just join us because they are the junior most, or to the young interns who will come to us, and because they are Gen Z and they're so young, in just few days they'll get bored. It's what nonsense work you are giving me. I'm not comfortable there, so I will not do this job. So we said, we have recruited you from law school. In just 1 month, you are saying I want to leave the job. So we felt that, but that somebody has to do, and it's very difficult convincing them. They are saying, I want quality job. Well, everybody wants to go and argue in the Supreme Court straight away, actually. So, or to do some big M&A and do the negotiations. So it's very difficult to motivate them. So at least we think, at least this thing can go to machines. Now, to solve that problem also for us, the human capital problem. Then they can involve them in some really good kind of work.
What we get to hear from some of the latest generation of legal professionals, they want to make an impact.
Yes.
We say first learn what is impact, how to go about assessing the impact, and then start thinking about making it, because it takes time. It takes time. So we'll move to ESG. It's no longer one department specific thing. It is kind of taking over, like how AI is taking over every department pertaining activity. Even ESG is dominating in that ways. What is your take on compliance towards ESG and sustainability goals that every organization, especially when you're linked with Western investments or funds were coming, and even India is going for net zero rated targets. Next year onwards, you're going to get into carbon markets part to go about it. How your approach and how you keep yourself updated with the ESG norms and the compliance part to go with.
Fantastic. You are right, Rahul. ESG now is the buzzword. Irrespective wherever, whichever company you are, you have to be ESG compliant.
Correct.
I'm also in the ESG committee of Cube. And very recently, Cube has come out with a sustainability-linked bond, whereby we have to maintain certain targets in certain years, and therefore our coupon rate is less, so our interest rate is less, subject to our commitment of adhering to certain environmental norms. So like we have to reduce some scope 1 emissions and other stuff. Now, and SEBI also has come out with the BRSR core. So the top 100 listed companies based on market cap, they have to now follow BRSR core. So they have to come with certain disclosures, and most of the disclosures are pertaining to ESG.
ESG.
Yeah.
BSR?
is business responsibility and sustainability reporting.
Wow.
So business responsibility and sustainability reporting is SEBI mandate that you have to do the business responsibly, and you have to report sustainability, that how is your business more sustainable. So you have to ensure, because India has committed to the world that by 2070 in COP28, COP28 we committed this, that by 2070 India will be a net zero carbon emission. So this means whatever carbon we are emitting, we are saving that much carbon also. So it's net zero. So we are not impacting the environment at all by our economic activities. So therefore, every company has to then contribute. Everyone has to contribute towards that. So you have to become net zero in some time. So therefore, they want this disclosure that how much environmental damage you are doing by doing your business. For example, road construction, road operations, all these are, they can damage environment a little bit. Not as big as maybe the oil exploration or big factories or mining. Maybe they are, their carbon emission is much, much higher. Or maybe aviation, its carbon is much more, steel factories. So their carbon emission is much, much, much higher. So all these entities which are into those businesses, they have to ensure then they are doing certain things to become net zero. So if there's a steel company, either they purchase this carbon credit for some entity who is creating a greener environment, or they themselves do something, they plant trees and reduce the electricity dependency on fossil fuels, get only renewable energy, and likewise. So they have to showcase that how are they becoming net zero. So this is what the requirement of BRSR core is. Right now it's only disclosure, but slowly and gradually they will mandate you to do this. Therefore, ESG, as rightly said, in next 8, 10, 15, 20 years, ESG is something where the focus will be of a variety of companies.
Agreed.
And interestingly, on this note, you won't find very good ESG practitioners right now, neither in law firms nor in these EYs and Deloittes and all those big four. So ESG practitioners, as to understand the entire concept of environment, social and governance, and they can really, because there's no single law for ESG. There are multiple laws. There are multiple environmental law, multiple social laws, governance is a different structure altogether. Somebody will be a great environmental lawyer, but this person will not understand labor. Somebody will be a great labor lawyer, but will not understand governance models. That what is, so for the single expertise is not there generally. So it's a great practice area also, both from legal perspective and from business perspective. Like how should I calculate my my carbon emission? So my scope 1 has to reduce, but there is someone who has to guide me that, okay, this is how you to calculate. So those things is, I feel, is a great business area in coming times.
Talking about great businesses, sir, even any technology helping any part to get calculated, computed or quantified is also a good business. Coincidentally, we are working with a startup which is into counting the exact carbon emission that the processes of manufacturing or explorations when it comes to talking about oils. And these are young chefs from IIT Bombay and Harvard, goes with the name of Carbon 6. And we see the impact that their AI tools have done. They have reduced the calculation time frame drastically. Literally, they have reduced it from 100% time to 1%.
Oh, fantastic.
So we see this being taken very seriously by the
We'll love to meet
generation that we are dealing with. At a time, certain challenges, but there are some entrepreneurs, there are some students who are trying to take head on with these things, and they are solving this. So I'll definitely like to introduce.
Yes, I'd love to meet. In fact, our CESO, Dr. Ashok Sharma, he's a veteran in this field. So he also, we have a lot of ideas, and it will be great meeting such young minds. Because this is what not only our, but other companies also, eventually they have to calculate it right. Because otherwise, how will you know that how much emission you are doing? Fantastic.
So in a nutshell, if you were to say AI and infra industry, big impact, major changes, or moderate because it's very much physical infrastructure development part to go?
No, I feel that AI is going to disrupt not only infra, but the way we believe and we behave. There are a lot of things. So one thing is Right now, the entire for what is AI? AI is nothing. It learns on its own. So you give some prompts and understand. Slowly and gradually, this AI will learn. Like an intern comes to a company and then intern joins the company and grows with the company. So after 5-6 months, 1 to 3 years, the intern understand that okay, this is what it works for the company. Right now, the computing is binary computing. Very soon, we'll have quantum computing, which will be commercial reality. So quantum computing is where you do not have zeros and ones. You have a single bit, which is both 0 and 1. So in those once quantum computing comes into a reality and commercial reality, you will see the speed of processing is going to be raised to power 2. So huge computing skills. With that huge computing skills, AI is going to learn things much more faster. And then they will understand things much better than what humans can do. Even there are some kind of experiments whereby human brains, they call it wet work, whereby the human brains are being used with some robots, and they're doing those kind of hybrid intelligence models also. So we do not know where the future lies in few years. There can be artificial intelligence, there can be AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is as good as humans in a sense. There can be hybrid intelligence, which can be like a human brain with some robotic features. So there's so many things which are there. So it's going to disturb the industry the way how we look into. But irrespective of that, so like when calculator came long time back, people thought that now all the accountants will go jobless, but it really upgrade our skill. So it is only humans have always, so all these obviously AI instincts are there, but the human ability, so the biggest thought that we have is our imagination, our intuitiveness, and the overall strategy that we into. So if as long as those things are intact, if you are really more of a strategic thinker, more of an imaginative person, you can know what
Correct.
to do things, then that is the skill set which is still going to be very relevant for a long time. And these tools are there just to aid you. So two things. One is if you are a strategic thinker, and second, you know how to leverage this technology better, you will be a far better professional. So those lawyers who can really leverage this AI better, those law firms who can leverage this AI better, will always have a better cost-effective solutions than or cutting-edge solutions than other law firms. Very similar goes to corporates also. Same for infrastructure. If we can leverage AI better, AGI better, if we can leverage this thing far better, then we'll be a better corporate. So I feel it is going to disrupt the industry, irrespective of whichever industry you are in.
Dr. Mukul, in terms of family background, we know that you have legal luminaries in your family, and that must have been a great push or great inspiration for you to opt for going for law as a legal profession. Can you share some information on that, please?
Yes, sure. So my father was a Rajasthan Judicial Service officer, uh, though he passed away in 2017. So he was in lower judiciary. My mother was a school teacher. Uh, and my other uncles, they were lawyers. One of the uncle was also a judge. Another distant uncle, he became a high court judge. So lawyers and judges were there in the family, and therefore law was something which was automatic in the
What
family.
were the discussion topics whenever family used to come together?
So when I was a young child, all these police officers used to come to home for remand and stuff. So I used to ask my father, I was very curious, okay, why a police person is coming so regularly and so frequently, and what is this remand actually, and what is, so why, so all these small nuances that, okay, what is the judicial custody, what is the police custody, what is remand, what is the basic process. So those things you just learn when you are just a child, means when you are just a 15, 14, 16-year-old person. So those nuances you just pick up. So that is one help. Because then once you come into practice, you relate those things, then okay, this was, so some practical insight you generally get. So those things.
Getting to know these small things is very empowering, sir.
Correct.
I think as a lawyer, before you start practicing also, legal knowledge gives you a different advantage in position.
Correct.
And that you got from home
True.
at early age.
True. Because then when you read CRPC, etc., or evidence, you can relate back. Okay, this is what I've seen, this is what I discussed with my father, and now I'm reading it. Okay, this is what the logic is. So those things you keep on
Very nice.
and understanding. So that is how it all started. But then ultimately, your own journey is your different journey. So
Your journey is one of the most unique journeys, sir. I must share. As I gave brief background in the introduction, from a practicing lawyer who was practicing in Jaipur court, right?
right.
From there, you went into teaching also parallelly.
Correct.
There, you were teaching criminology and competition.
Competition, yes.
Then you went for IIM.
Correct.
RBI.
Yes.
RBI to IIM. IIM to KEC to Adani to Wellspun to Cube. What next? What is next?
I do not know wherever life takes me. Never planned.
I think this has to be the most unique journey that anyone can come across.
Thank you.
And lots of insightful journeys you'd be having. You must have had throughout each of the stints in each of the organizations, because they are themselves big players in market, big organizations to go with. Talking about further on family, I know, sir, your wife has a very interesting profession. Can you share more on that?
Yeah, sure. So my wife, she is a science fiction and thriller murder mystery author. She writes and then she has her own YouTube channel, audio stories. Say she narrates and brings her story out. So she's a passionate writer.
What is the channel called, sir?
It's a Nisha Shastri audio stories.
Nisha Shastri?
Audio stories. It's a YouTube channel where she comes and she narrates all the science fiction and thriller murder mystery stories.
Wow.
Yeah, so she loves to write. She's a passionate writer. Almost she has published some 9, 10 novels by now.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is science fiction and thriller is her genre. I have 2 sons. My eldest son is in 12th. He's now pursuing his JEE. For he want to get into IITs. And my younger son is in 7th standard. So, and my mother is there. Now she's retired.
Yes, very interesting. Have you given any real scenario to your wife to create any science fiction out of it by reference?
So her genre primarily is science fiction is there, but mostly science fiction she writes about how the polity or the public administration would be in an interstellar society. So her entire story is focused on generally those kind of political drama and debates. Suppose if you are an interstellar civilization spread across say 500, 600 light years away, different planets, a different kind of species.
Wow.
So what kind of political debate and drama will happen? So her focus is primarily on those. So I can give her real life insights on from the legal cases, so where she can develop them and create those dramas in a different scenario. That happens. And she also writes thriller stories, thriller mysteries, where she focuses on forensic and police investigation. So there I contribute a bit, explaining what kind of police rules are there or forensic rules are there. But she does her own study and research because she likes to do her own stuff. So she can take my advice, but then she does.
Must be more thought process like Christopher Nolan kind of directors who are also always in that way ahead of time, right?
Sure.
The concepts are way ahead of time for.
So she is nowhere Christopher Nolan level, but yes, at least aspiring to be.
We wish all the
Thanks.
great success to Madam as well, and we'll be the subscriber to her channel immediately after this show.
Thank you so much.
So concluding, one thing that you want to leave for the next generation of lawyers as a message where they can learn something from that to scale further positively, be it on compliance or transactions or disputes or resolutions, anything. One thing that you want to leave.
Just for at least the in-house counsels, one thing, understand your industry or business where you are in. You are no more a lawyer. You have to understand the business side of it. That is one thing which I really want to tell the in-house counsels. To the law firm lawyers, I want to tell them that understand your client, because sometimes we have to see the larger picture. So you have to give solutions which is in the interest of client, not sometimes too rigid with our solutions to them. Sometimes losing a case, sometimes not pursuing something is far better remedy than pursuing it. So more client-centric, business solution-friendly advice is far better for a lawyer. So this is what I advise to both.
Great. Dr. Mukul, genuinely thank you so much for sharing your journey, responding to so many questions. We covered quite a large landscape here, from academics to policies to arbitrations to AI and infrastructure at a much deeper level. And I have learned a great deal about infrastructure development and how government is mindful about bringing it through private players, contracts and agreements to go about it. This podcast series could be a very insightful conversation for those who want to understand how general counsels are changing the landscape for corporations, businesses, not just in India, but cross-border as well. I want you to share this if you are going to get good takeaways from this session. This podcast series is an effort from our side to bring the insights of as to what corporates and general counsels are dealing with as their challenges, their roles and responsibilities and duties, so that when you are making your career choices, you make a wise one. To everyone, those who are listening to this podcast series, if you enjoyed this session, please hit the like button. If you got any single good takeaway, please leave your verdict in the comment section. We would like to bring more and more in-house counsels and legal professionals so that we can make it more meaningful for you. Until then, stay legally aware, commercially sharp, and strategically sound. Thank you.